It's been just over a month since we got our very first look at Black Ops 6, and in this time, I've gone back and forth about my feelings towards the game, and the series in general. So that's what this video is about. It's about me giving my initial thoughts, both good and bad, on what in my opinion is Call of Duty's last chance. Firstly, what do I mean by Call of Duty's last chance? Do I think that if Black Ops 6 flops, that Call of Duty will fade away? Well, obviously no. But I think if it fails, it could begin a downward spiral that I can't see Call of Duty getting out of. Mainly due to the current climate of gaming and the fact that Activision oversee this franchise. Over the last few years, we've seen irreversible damage to firstly the World War II Call of Duty games with COD Vanguard, and secondly, and more alarmingly, damage to the Modern Warfare series, brand name and beloved characters. The Modern Warfare name has never been more tarnished than it is currently, and I think I speak for a lot of people when I say I want a big break from that series in particular. So with Black Ops 6, and a potential Black Ops 2 sequel in 2025, we can forget about Modern Warfare for a couple of years. But now is where I ask you, what if Black Ops 6 doesn't work out? This is the final series that hasn't been ruined by Activision. But what happens if this one runs out of goodwill from the community? Or if they manage to tarnish some of the beloved characters we know and love? I simply don't know the answer to that question, and if I'm honest, I don't want to know, because whatever it is, it's not a good look for the franchise. This is a franchise that, love it or hate it, is still relying on two main series that have been going for over a decade, filled with characters and ideas made over a decade ago. The new games, with the exception of a couple of outliers here and there, have failed to create a multitude of new characters and ideas. So once our nostalgia and goodwill runs out from all these things from over a decade ago, what are we left with? Again, I don't know and I don't want to know the answer. But it's important to outline this before we get into Black Ops 6, as this is the reason I believe this is Call of Duty's last chance. Not their last chance to get people to play their game, but their last chance to make an impact on the community that will last long enough to keep the franchise going. So with that out of the way, what does Black Ops 6 have to offer? And can it make me forget about failure ever being a possibility? Well, whilst we haven't seen a full reveal of all the individual modes yet, the reveal event showed off perhaps more than we all expected. Before we dive into the multiplayer and zombies, let's quickly skim over the campaign. This campaign will follow up on Cold War's campaign and will be set in the 90s, and many of the events will predate the futuristic parts of Black Ops 2. From this and through many of the leaks, we can assume the primary conflict will revolve around the Gulf War. But this is a Black Ops game after all, so I expect us to go to loads of different countries and explore smaller conflicts that don't get as much attention. From what we know, it looks like there will be a rogue agent who we're chasing down. A lot of the trailers point to this being Adler. Gameplay wise, and we have a hub area similar to Cold War. However, this looks much improved, and some reports even suggest a more open world style game. And they did say in the reveal that we could be seeing some of the most expansive missions of all time. The campaign has to ensure that it doesn't leave any plot holes for the events that follow it, as it could mess up the events of Black Ops 2. But since I love expansive, open, and multi-choice COD missions, I am excited about this campaign, as it looks like it will have all the above and be extremely replayable. Now let's move on to the zombies. I don't really have too much to say about it, as it was by far the shortest section of the reveal. But what we do know is extremely positive, with two round-based maps confirmed for launch, one set on an island, and one unknown map, although it could be a transit remake. A playable crew, filled with quips and story dialogue also returns, but this time is optional, as some may not care about the story. These two things are fantastic, and it shows that Treyarch have not only listened to the community, but finally have had the time to work on putting these great features in the game. Cold War was a rush game and it didn't have the little charms that this game could have. The map we did see looks pretty fantastic. I mean, it also looks massive, and it gave me Zetsubou no Shima vibes. Oh, and I should mention, this small feature that no one has ever requested called Gobblegum is returning as well. So yeah, I guess that's pretty cool as well. But overall, Zombies does seem to be moving in the right direction. Cold War was a good zombies game, but as I said, it was rushed and it had no crew, so it lacked character. And as a result, many of us, including myself, didn't really care about the story. It also lacked content, with only one launch map and 3 DLC maps spread over the entire year. But Treyarch know what we want, and I have confidence that this Zombies team can keep us happy throughout Black Ops 6, with enough content and hopefully a fun and engaging story. But now finally, it's time we talk about Call of Duty's bread and butter, the multiplayer. From initial viewing, This looks like the most innovative year that Call of Duty has seen in a long time. Not all of that is a good thing, as I'm sure some of it won't work out as we expect, but I'm hoping that some of it will be revolutionary and stick around. The main huge change is the movement. Omnidirectional movement allows players to walk, run, and jump in every direction. And this has the potential to be extremely fun, and it could make Black Ops even faster and more exciting. But until I get to use it, and see how players use it online, I'll hold out my judgment. Black Ops 6 also reintroduces some stuff we've been starved of ever since it's been taken away. Prestige mode is finally back, and I could not be happier. This is the one thing that I'll never understand why it was taken out, and why they kept giving us a seasonal version that no one preferred. But now, as we should have it, all the Prestiges will be here on day one. Also on day one, we are getting 16 entirely new multiplayer maps. Now that is more like it. Not 8 or 10 like we've been getting as of late, but 16. That is a statement from Treyarch, and it shows that when they're given the time, they can produce the level of content we expect. We saw some glimpses of the maps, and I must say they look brilliant in terms of aesthetic. All unique with their own vibe, and a charm that only a Black Ops game can provide. I always expect the highest quality map design from Treyarch, as they have always been consistent in providing a solid selection, and I expect no less this year. But one looming thing I must talk about is skill-based matchmaking. We didn't hear anything about it being removed, and I don't expect it to ever fully disappear, but I'm hoping it's at least significantly toned down. Or we have features like non-disbanding lobbies that can at least soften the blow. Now, will features like Prestige mode and a ton of new content already put this game ahead of some of its contemporaries? Well, yes, of course. But with skill-based matchmaking, you never know how this game will turn out. I can see a scenario where underneath the awful matchmaking system, there is a fantastic game. But due to the lens that Activision forced us to see this game through, our vision is tainted, and instead we may see it as inferior. Skill-based matchmaking will affect our opinions on the new movement system, as imagine how difficult it will be to constantly play against people who've mastered it. It could also ruin our experience of some of the new maps, as imagine constantly playing against people who know every sightline and spawn. I don't want to be pessimistic about this game, but it's important to mention how devastating SBMM could be. Overall, although I believe this is Call of Duty's last chance, I am silently optimistic about this game. Treyarch have a connection with the community that is unmatched, and they always want us to be happy. They have finally been given a full development cycle of 4 years to develop this game, and you can see that through the passion they had in the reveal, and the fact that they've innovated so much. But now it's time you give me your opinion. What do you think of Black Ops 6? If it fails, what will really happen to Call of Duty? And also, what are you most excited for about the game? But I've been Ranger, and this has been why BO6 is Call of Duty's last chance.